recording. Okay, so we got my window. We're basically recording just my computer screen.
Okay, cool. So the one thing that I noticed here, what I was trying to explain in my question here, so I'm filtering by incoming. So these don't appear to be like an atomic swap. It's just you've sent me tokens and I need the pre-image or the secret to unlock them. There doesn't seem to be like another side of the transaction where like, if I send you something and then send you the hash block, you have to deposit something back to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't have a make deposit option? Oh, and it's just loading
No.
infinitely now too.
Yeah, there was no make deposit option. So it was almost like you were sending me tokens, but I had no ability to make a deposit. Oh,
It's here. Okay, so
there
my
it goes.
node is offline. That's why. Oh, yeah, my node is definitely dead. I need a beefier node. Or
Is that
Monet.
thing like
I
two?
gotta set up
Is
Monet.
that like fucking 2 gig?
It's it might be a little less. I'm running both of my nodes. I've got my public node, like the one on mainnet, and this DevNet
Yeah.
node running simultaneously on this 8 gig VPS,
Oh
and
God.
it doesn't work so well. It's really unstable.
No. Yeah, I can only imagine. What do you have it on two Docker images, or what do you just have two separate processes right now? That thing's probably getting toast.
Yeah, two Zenon daemons running simultaneously, just on different ports.
Got it.
It's nothing fancy. If you reconnect, yeah, confirm node. Yeah, okay, it's back.
All right, all right, we're back. Okay, cool. Um, okay, yeah. So incoming. So these guys don't have make deposit. It's just unlock.
Okay, so grab the hash lock, like just copy it there, and then untoggle the incoming and paste. Yeah, let's do a search. Yeah, and so there's already one tied to it. So I'm gonna go on my end, look up that, so
Oh,
69 TZNN right here. I'm gonna unlock it, and unfortunately, I don't have the
the
secret,
crap.
so it's
Oh
locked for
shit.
11 hours now because
Oh fuck.
so I've been testing this for a few weeks. I've been able to save those secrets automatically for a few weeks, and it hasn't been an issue. And ever since I've had to reset the DevNet, ever since last night, really, uh, every everything broke again. Um,
Oh god.
so it's fine. It's better to break it now during development than in production.
All right. Just should we just try to do one just native, like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
from the very beginning here?
So it's you see
Let's
that
go.
SHA-256?
Okay. Yeah.
Like if you toggle SHA-256 there aren't any. So it's sort of like a clean interface for us to sort of work with here.
Okay.
So if you create a SHA-256 swap, you'll see it right there. I'll do the same on
Perfect.
my end.
Okay. So I'm gonna go get your.
My
Is that you?
address, the rare 2.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So atomic swap amount 9 paste SHA-256. All right. Create atomic swap. There it goes. Let me. We got that. All right. So now that's going over to you.
Huh. Oh, we gotta refresh. Okay, that's another thing then. Uh, just on. Okay, you can either refresh or untoggle and retoggle. So here it is. The secret is there,
Okay.
by the way, and that's how it should be when you create a swap or an HTLC. The secret should be there automatically for you, so
Got
you
it.
don't, as the creator, the initiator, you shouldn't really have to save or copy that manually.
Okay.
But um, I guess there were a couple glitches earlier today. I'm gonna send you some Quasar.
Okay, so
Yeah,
there it is.
if you weren't toggled, then it should automatically refresh. But I guess during when it is toggled, it doesn't auto refresh. But
Okay.
anyways, they're both there.
So now let's just go back to the. So now I click unlock.
Yeah, and
Boom.
it's pre-populated. You
Unlock.
can just hit unlock. It'll unlock. Um,
So now it unlocks on both sides. It unlocks yours. It sends you my secret automatically.
it
And
publishes
then
it on chain,
got it.
and then I can unlock it as well. So my wallet can potentially unlock it automatically, and your wallet can also unlock my swap
Got it.
automatically. So it really just depends on the proxy unlock rules.
Yep.
It does a lookup.
So the
And
one thing
go ahead.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, it's fine. Go
So
ahead.
the one thing I'm wondering, what happened originally, I had when I first started out, I had all these things in here, and I'm like, what the fuck? What is associated with what? I couldn't figure out. And then sometimes, I think what I noticed was they don't necessarily, you send one, um, and then yours comes back, and you have to click unlock. They don't always stay next to each other. So it's not, you see what I'm saying? It's like not super intuitive to know to have to look for the hash lock to associate these two. It's easy when there's just oh now they're gone. Um, when there's just two of them, but when there's like a whole list of them. So what I was wondering is it somehow possible to make these all in one row? So this one is associated with this one within this box somehow,
Possible
or
for sure. But
or even if there's some sort of visual, if you kept them next to each other and you maybe had an arrow, I mean, just something so that they're related to each other.
yeah, for sure. Some sort of link. You're right because I've been testing this and it's sort of hard to keep track of which ones are related to
Yeah.
which so which HTLCs are related to which ones, but we can definitely do that.
Okay, here, so let's look at this. So I sent, what are the transactions here? Did you send me,
I sent
do
you
they,
Quasar.
where are,
You got it right there.
okay, right. So I got, where, and I sent you 69 right there.
Hmm.
Got it. Okay. So what are these two right here? These are just the hash locks?
So one is the uh, I don't actually recognize that address. Oh, that's yours. That's your address. Yeah, so you're sending a transaction to the embedded contract
Yep.
to create the swap, and you also sent another transaction to unlock.
Got
Um,
it. Got it.
did you
Okay.
send two unlocks? I guess my wallet sent one of the unlocks because I've got mine open at the same time.
Okay.
Or wait, you have three transactions? Yeah, okay. Um, I I'm having trouble like identifying the two zeros there. I'm not sure if you unlocked both yourself or if I unlocked one and you unlocked one. But those are just interactions with the embedded contract.
Got it. I suspect this is creating the hash lock and this is unlocking it. Probably, right? Because these are both from me.
So the first 69 is actually creating the HTLC,
Oh,
and the
okay.
others at the 3 minute mark, the 3 minute ago. I guess those two
Yep.
are you. I think your wallet actually unlocked both of them, and mine didn't. I'll check my
Got it.
transaction history here. Uh, Actually, I'm not certain, but we can actually take those transaction hashes and figure out what they are. Um, the Zenon CLI has a function, the HTLC inspect function, where we can just take a transaction hash and it'll parse the data to tell you like exactly what that transaction
Hmm.
was for, whether it's a create, an unlock, or a reclaim.
Hmm.
We don't really have that visibility in Syrius at the moment.
Got it. Okay.
If you go
So,
over to settings, there's an additional section there on the right. There's the atomic unlocking. It's not really, I'm not sure if that's the right wording that we'll use, but that's just what I've named it for now. So if you enable or disable that, it really depends on what you want. You can, this will basically enable or disable proxy unlocking for your address. Uh,
got it. So it's enabled by default, which means that anybody can unlock the other side of the transaction, basically.
um, Actually, there's two
I don't know
different
if I
pieces.
just
There's two different pieces. I'm sorry. So this, if atomic unlocking is enabled, then your wallet will attempt to unlock a like the other person's HTLC.
got it. Yep.
And if you go to the address section, which is I think further up, and
Yep.
you see the triple dot, yeah, if you click on that, disable
Hmm.
proxy unlock will either enable or disable it for your particular address. You can do this on a per address basis.
Oh,
It it's not instant, and this part here I'm still working on it
got it.
to sort of like be more reactive. Um,
Got it.
because yeah, you'll spam it and it doesn't really do
Yeah.
much more than one
Totally.
action at a time. So an account block was published, and then if you refresh the window, you either like you move away to a different view, or you can't really refresh that widget. So just if you go over to like the notification tab or any other tab and then you come back, there's a red dot.
Oh,
So proxy unlocking is now disabled for that address. So that means someone else cannot unlock a swap on your behalf.
nice. Okay.
So that can be toggled, and that sort of goes hand in hand with the atomic unlocking option at the bottom right.
Yep.
So if that's enabled in your wallet, then your wallet will attempt to unlock matching swaps that have the same hash lock.
Got it.
So
Got it.
if
Makes
if
sense.
if Alice, if you as the initiator or Alice in our scenarios is feeling feeling nice or benevolent, they'll leave it enabled. If they're if they don't want to, then they can disable that and let Bob figure out his own way to unlock his hash or his hash lock.
So this is to deal with a situation where I send you something, you send me something back, and you then go offline. I claim your tokens, but you have no way of claiming the tokens that I've sent to you. I will automatically unlock your tokens for you on your behalf if you're not unlocking them yourself.
If you leave this enabled, yeah.
Yes. Right. Got it. Yep. Got it. Okay.
So
Yeah, that makes sense.
we're still trying to determine whether to have that on by default.
Got it.
If a user doesn't have enough plasma, then it'll create a bad user experience. Um, so I don't know. There's a few other considerations, but for now it's on by default just during testing.
Got it. Got it. Awesome, man. Freaking sweet. Let's see who else is on.
Yeah, we got George, got Laid.
Hey, George, what's up? He's like, yeah, like
Maybe
you know, I
next
don't want to
time.
talk.
It's all good. So
Cool.
yeah, that's what we've been working on. Bill Chris has been helping me a lot. Apparently my code is shit. So yeah, I don't know. You can see like the commit history. He's basically fixing my mistakes. That's fine.
Seriously,
It's fine.
that's fine.
It's no big deal.
Awesome, man. This is really freaking cool. So now, did you understand what George was saying earlier? It's sort by hash lock. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now the only sorting is by expiration time, which I mean by the rules that we currently have, they'll match. They'll go side by side.
Yep.
So the sorting you may not even see it at the top right. There are two arrows, like up and down arrows. That's one
Yep.
widget, one little button, and that'll sort by expiration time, or it should. It's supposed to. Anyways, yeah, sorting by hash lock would be good. Um, but I think there could be a better way to just like visually see them as well. So I'll take that feedback and try to come up with something better.
Yeah, I can sort of pick around with it and see if I can come up with something. And then, did you understand what George was saying about making, yeah, group by hash lock?
Yeah.
A group by hash lock. Yeah, yeah. It's almost like you could put like a thin box around this. Like this is a group, so you know the two of them are associated with each other.
Yeah, you could also have multiple parties involved, so it may not even just be two hash locks that are, you might not have two swaps with the same hash lock. There could be multiple, like three, four.
Yeah,
Um,
got it.
I've done a couple multi-party tests and they work at the moment. I just don't know what sort of use cases, how often they'll be used, but um, yeah, yeah, for sure. Grouping by hash lock. You can also just like copy the hash lock, and then you'll see all of them that are related as well.
All right.
You can copy and search by hash lock,
Yep.
but I don't know.
So, what was
Seems
George saying
stagnant.
about the expiration needing to make sure there's a the expiration of the two transactions is sufficiently gapped so that somebody can't wait to the very end?
Yeah, yeah. You don't want Bob to be stuck and not have enough reaction time to unlock his swap. So there should be a gap, and the delta between expiration times is basically Bob's reaction time, or the minimum reaction time that he'd have to unlock his part.
Fucking George is on cubes. Oh God.
He's on cubes, really?
You know what cubes is?
Yeah.
Dude, I freaking love
I
it.
can't run it.
Dude, it's so fucking hard. I mean, you have to be like the level of geekery is so fucking high. So look at George. He's trying to talk. He sounds like a robot.
Yeah, he does.
Nah, it's easy.
It's not a matter of difficulty for me. It's more like processing power. I can't run all those containers.
That's funny. I do have a cubes. I have a cubes computer when I was doing some work on Hunter Biden. I had to whip out the cubes machine. It's VMs, not containers,
They're
but
VMs.
exactly, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so,
Yeah, well, my
yeah,
computer was chugging, and yeah, it was not a good experience for me. So I kind of
yeah,
ditched that.
nice. Cool.
Um,
All right. Well, anything else we should look at?
well, that's sort of all that I have for this particular branch. There's other things that we can talk about or look at. There's I was talking to Mihao about holding these sorts of meetings more frequently so we can just sort of, shoot the shit and discuss what's going on in a different environment at a faster pace. Um,
Do you see George? Dev voice chats are cool. I got to get my mic working though. Oh, nice.
that's fine. He'll get it eventually.
Yeah,
It's
that's
fine.
cool.
We'll hear him. But yeah, so I figured we do have some content to look through or talk about. It's really just a matter of interest and getting everyone involved in at the same time. I ended
Did
up.
you,
Oh, go ahead.
you go ahead.
Oh, I was supposed to have just a short call with Mihao a couple weeks ago, and it turned into a couple hours, just because we just want to talk about the state of the network, the community, how to progress, like what sort of challenges we're currently facing.
Hmm.
So it just there is actually a lot to talk about. We had some good you know good ideas that came just from that. So we figured let's just expand that and bring in more people, see what we can come up with.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I think he was trying to schedule a time and then ended up, I guess he's at the hospital right now doing something. Um, George is coming in and out. Um,
Yeah,
is there anything you want to talk about now, or I'm just trying to think what was on? Did you come up with a list, or
yeah.
did
I did have a list. Um, we can go through that. We can go through any like forum posts or anything um, on Mattermost. I feel like having I don't know have you ever done excuse me have you ever done like agile in terms of like development, um, like using an agile framework where you sort of have tasks and you can break them down into smaller pieces and you have basically that Kanban board that I've been trying to work on. Um, have you ever done that sort of thing, that activity?
no, no. But I'm happy to try it. I mean, most of what I do in work is, you know, it's like chunks of work where you don't like break things up into like lots of subtasks. It's like produce a pro forma, review contract. So what I do is, very linear. So it's suited for just pure task management, just simple, get this task done.
And that could be very well suited for your line of work. I'm thinking we need some sort of framework to be able to onboard some new devs. If we
Yep.
want to continue doing that, we need to be able to explain to them what we need done. So I think part of our work, our job here is we sort of have an understanding of the current state of the network. We can make that onboarding process easier for new devs instead of having them
Hmm.
spend 6 months reading through like actual source
Right.
code to understand what's going on. Um, we
Yep.
can we can bring it at a higher level for them, explain it to them in English, in plain text, and make it more accessible to devs so that they can sort of see what jobs are available on our board and have a better understanding of whether they can accomplish that or not. And anyways, I can go on if we want to. If we want, we can discuss that. I also had a demo of Syrius 006 set up. Um, I don't know if we're interested in doing that, where I can just sort of show you. Um, it would be Alien Coder's branch. I've only contributed some parts to it, but Alien Coder did a lot of work on that. Mike Masters, crypto fish. So I feel like
Let's
they they
let's
they
let's look at
studied
that.
recognition.
I
Yeah.
completely forgot I had a phone with Discord on it.
So
What's up?
What's up,
Here,
guys?
how do I turn my here, I'm gonna stop streaming. And if you wanna share your screen and pull up the next version.
sure. Yeah, just a moment here.
George, do you use cubes for like your normal work, or is that just to stay private?
I preferably segregate the stuff I do for Zenon with my personal browsing. And then in the future, I'll probably do key management through a VM that's not connected to the internet.
Huh. Key management with a VM that's not connected to the internet. Okay. Hmm. Key management for doing things like signing commits to GitHub.
Yeah, or just signing commits, signing artifacts, build artifacts, or just doing transactions, right? So all that needs to be when you make a transaction, all it is a the transaction gets hashed, and all you're doing is you're signing that hash. And so the way hardware wallets work is that you just have some way to transmit the data or just the thing that needs to be the thing that needs to be signed. And so we could have very primitive, hardware wallets just by having like an isolated VM, and then getting the hash over to it somehow. Worst case scenario, I guess you type it out, but yeah, just trying to start exploring in that area.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad at segregating. So as you can probably see here, I'm on Windows right now. But yeah, at the moment
Yeah,
here I've got 006 up.
Wait, are you sharing your
make
screen?
some money. You gotta buy a new computer, man.
Yeah, totally.
I can't afford one. But anyways, I've been thinking about it lately. Maybe I'll do it this year. We'll see.
Are you sharing your screen?
I thought I was.
You guys see it?
It looks like I am.
Yeah, I see the button to watch stream.
Hold on. Oh, here we go. Sorry. Got it. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Yep.
All right, cool. So I didn't write a list of all the changes, so I'm pretty much just gonna run through them from memory, going from tab to tab, and feel free to stop me whenever. So just to show you, I got this from Alien Coder's latest branch. We go over to Alien Coder. It's right, not go Zenon. If you want to follow along or try this yourself, you can go over here, releases, and you can download any of these. They were published 2 weeks ago. You can also audit the release by going through the actions 2 weeks ago. He was really active until then, honestly. He was publishing almost daily. But that's a whole different topic. Oh, and that artifact, that visual artifact you mentioned yesterday, it's present here as well. I don't know if you see it. See that little
Yeah.
the corner?
Yeah. That's
So
funny.
anyways, so there isn't a lot that's changed on this page other than real-time stats. It's fixed now. It didn't take very much to fix. It's just I think CryptoFish did that. So I'm really
Yep.
glad it's up and running now, because we used to have a big hole here, and it didn't look didn't look very nice. So not a hole, but it was just a widget that was not actually rendering properly. So moving on. Oh, actually, we delegation pillars, staking stats.
Is it your actual wallet?
It's one of them. Why? You surprised?
I would never share a screenshot, like a share of my actual wallet.
It's my dev wallet, and like anyone has my address.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay. I know. I see the D's nuts pillars. I'm like, is this real? Are we working like are we seeing real transactions?
Yeah, this
Never
is
mind.
real. All right. So yeah, I thought there was a widget here that had changed, and I actually were there 6 before? Anyways, I think this one here was changed. There used to be one the swap decay. That's right. It used to be right here. That's gone. So we just extended the transactions widget vertically. Moving on, nothing. I don't think anything's changed in this one. It's all the same. Pillars. One difference here is the undelegate button is now visible at the top right. I don't know if anyone's tried it yet, but here's a quick demo. This particular widget is reactive. Works better than the other one that I was showing you for the atomic swaps. So this just takes a few moments. Anyways, when this is done, it should refresh the widget, and this undelegate button is going to disappear. They'll both disappear. I was talking to Vilchris about this, and he suggested breaking this pillar collect, just having it, actually having it horizontally. So you'd have pillar collect at the top, and then an undelegate widget right below, instead of having it this way. But maybe we'll fix that later. Well, this was supposed to refresh. Maybe the transaction's just not confirmed yet. I'm just impatient. Yeah, I hit refresh. Well, it was working. Every time I demo, it's like worst case scenario. So I should just not.
It's your node.
It's my node. Yeah, you can blame my node. Anyways, so if you're delegating to a pillar that is no longer in the top 30, or you can't find it in the list for some reason, you should have that option at the top right. So hopefully people see that. Nothing changed in this window. Sentinels should be the same. Staking, I think it's the same. Plasma, nothing's changed.
Well, you guys fixed a bunch of stuff in Plasma, right?
Actually, yeah, the beneficiary address. I haven't tested this, so let's try it. I think this used to be automatically populated.
You couldn't. Yeah, it was auto-populated, and you couldn't change it.
You couldn't change it? I thought you could.
No, there was something where you couldn't change it.
I remember that if you updated the input amount, it would reset this to one of the addresses. I think the primary address.
That's super annoying.
Yeah, really annoying. So I think CryptoFish fixed that. So I'm really glad.
Yeah.
Glad he worked on that. He banged out like, I don't know, a dozen fixes in a matter of a week, early January. It was really cool to see. So that was one of them. Any others that I'm missing?
There's a bunch of stuff in settings that was either fixed or added, just little stuff. Updated a bunch of URLs and
I'll get there. Tokens, nothing here. bridge is, this is the disabled bridge. These forms are actually still, you can still type in these forms, but there aren't any buttons for you to send any transactions. You can't select any other bridge at the moment. This text, 0x here, provided the text. So yeah, whenever we have another bridge, we can just change that and point it to whatever contract, whatever address. I presume it's Sumamu's team that will deploy that contract. So this should be the same info. Quite a few changes here. The Syrius wallet version is updated. This changed from, did this particular string change? Can't remember if it used to say something else or if it was always chain identifier. But anyways, the new terminology we're using is chain identifier as opposed to, man, I can't even remember. But yeah.
There was net ID and chain identifier.
That's right. Thank you. So yeah, we're no longer using NetID in any of our code, or at least we're trying to move away from that. We're just gonna have chain identifier moving forward. It's more aligned with the blocks that we're creating, the account blocks. Check for update doesn't really do much, anything different other than bring you to this page. And community addresses have been updated. Some of the widgets are changed as well, or like these icons. And the links are all now, they should all be HTTPS links. They weren't before, they were all HTTP. They should all be working as far as I know. Like I tested them a month or two ago.
I tested them. There was one or two little Zenon hub was .org and we changed it to .io, but I tested them last go around.
Zenon hub. Okay. Cool. So yeah, there's that. I think there's a few, yeah, these Syrius Git, these changed as well. I think Alien Coder added these. So the commit information. This was one of the last things that he added. So there's all that. Nothing here. Settings. One of the main changes here is you can add up to 10 addresses. There was a bit of like contention over the design of this particular bar at the bottom. Some people had trouble seeing why it was spaced out this way until you press this plus or this this arrow. You don't really see why it's spaced out, but there are some additional buttons on the far left. I spent way too much time on this. Go ahead.
Maybe it makes sense. Maybe it makes sense to gray them out, like still have them there, but have them grayed out if it's not active. That way, like they see what it's for, but it's just not active.
It's really dark. It's grayed out, as in it could be a lighter shade of gray. It's a really dark gray right now.
Oh, it is grayed out. It's just you can't see. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually probably good feedback is to change that to a lighter color so you can actually see it, because right now it's not so visible.
I think it could just be the color of the text on the page, like closer to the white.
Yeah, for sure. Should lighten that. Yeah, I was trying to condense this, or like basically horizontally like condense it so that it would be closer to the middle, or I don't know. These buttons just wouldn't move at all. So it was really annoying. So I was thinking about just rebuilding this from scratch in the next version. We're using some code base that has like one contributor and 4 people using it in total. I figured I can just recreate the widget manually, but anyways, That package is not really under active development. But yeah, you can basically you just change the number that you want. You can go up to 10. You hit add. Takes a moment, and you got 10 addresses now. So that's the change there. I think some of these widgets were removed. For wallet options, we no longer swap. It's not even an option anymore. You can still delete cache and reset your wallet, but you can't swap it from the previous network. Preferences. So you can launch at startup. I haven't tested this like even at all. I thought it was only available on Windows, but I'm trying to remember what Alien Coder said. It might be available on all 3 operating systems, but I wasn't entirely sure. So I feel like that's one of the things that needed to be tested more thoroughly. I don't know. Has anyone here tried it?
I have not. No. I don't know if that's available on Mac, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither. On Linux either. But like this updates registry keys on Windows. So, all right, that's fine. It's something that I think we should test more thoroughly. And then there's also this enable desktop notifications. I don't have it enabled at the moment. I guess that's by default. He might have changed the default. When he first set this up, I think it was enabled by default, and it was really annoying.
Spamming everything. Yeah, spamming everything.
Like every notification, and my node like constantly resyncs. So it was just like spam, like your node is still syncing. Anyways, so those are available if you want to try those. And did this move? Backup wallet, mnemonic. I don't remember. I feel like these two could be condensed, but and then I think finally the last change here is for node management. A few things have changed here. Add node is still the same. Node selection, I'm just going to show this first. Your embedded node, you've got some icons here. I wonder if I can make this bigger. No, I can't really. So your embedded node has this shield. Show you integrated full node, enhanced security and privacy. And here, embedded node validates all network transactions. It may take several hours to fully sync with the network. So some additional text there, some tooltips. If you have a WS connection, it'll say it's unencrypted. If you got WSS, which I've got one here, you've got a green padlock for that one, encrypted connection. And if you've selected, for whatever node that you've selected, you'll have this ID as well. And it will tell you what your node ID is. And I think this is new. I didn't see this before. The client chain ID is also displayed. So node ID is what your node is actually, or what that particular node is reporting to be using. Whereas the client is what your Syrius wallet is configured to interact with. There's actually some spacing here. Anyways, spacing is a problem in Flutter. It takes a while to align everything properly. So
how do you change your chain ID in Syrius?
Right here, so if you scroll up a little bit, you've got this additional
Oh, got it.
this additional form right here, client chain identifier selection. It's not really a selection, but you're basically going to have to input your chain ID. You've got here AlphaNet chain identifier. I guess this doesn't change. This is also one of my first times trying this. I didn't really test this one thoroughly, and I think he changed it since last time I had a look at it. The chain identifier is used in transaction signing to prevent replay attacks. I'm not sure if you can really replay a transaction, but anyways. If you're already on, I guess on chain 1, you can't select that, but I'll put 3, 2, 1, confirm. Okay, there used to be a pop-up. It's no longer visible. It just tells you right here your chain identifier is 3, 2, 1. If I go back down here, this is now red, and it tells me that there's a mismatch. So if I try to sign a transaction right now, my wallet will craft a transaction with that chain identifier with 3, 2, 1. And right here it's telling me like it's definitely not going to work because that node that I'm connected to is supposedly using chain ID 1. So I guess there is a potential like security flaw here if you have like automatic, if you like you automatically transition or change your wallet's chain ID. If you automatically change it, then I guess the node could rug you and like change itself without your knowledge. And then, I mean, you think you might be like creating transactions on a DevNet or a testnet, and then they might just change it to mainnet, and you think you're sending a transaction to your friend on testnet, but in reality, you're sending all your funds on mainnet. So I guess it's sort of good to be able to change that. I used to have it like dynamic and automatic, so it's just a little bit of friction here, but it's not too bad. I'll change it back to 1. Okay, there used to be a pop-up, and I think CryptoFish mentioned something about it, and it was taken out. So
Did he like it or dislike it? Seems like a good thing to have.
I can't remember the exact wording, but the sentiment was leaning towards like disliking it. It was along the lines of, why would you have a pop-up when you're going back to chain ID 1 and not having a pop-up when you're moving to a testnet chain ID? I think it was on the forum somewhere. Oh, maybe it was in a private chat. But I personally didn't really like having it, or at least I didn't like the way it looked. I feel like it didn't really have the same style as the rest of the wallet. It was really more styling for me. If we had kept it, but I don't know, it had some orange in it. Like there's no orange anywhere in the wallet. We have blue, pink, green, red, but no orange anywhere. It just sort of stood out for me. But yeah, that's pretty much. I think that's all that there is for 006.
So I saw some comments back and forth on the PRs. So it sounds like you submitted that forum question. People wanted to have individual PRs, and has this been resolved, or is them all as separate PRs? Yeah.
Not resolved. We're at a standstill. We've been in this state for about a month now, where Alien Coder really wants to submit his CI/CD branch. He's rebranded it to Dev, but it's pretty much the same. Or maybe there are differences. I'm not entirely sure, but it looks similar to me. And he, I don't know, he suggested stacked PRs, which I guess could work. It's time consuming, I know that, but I was trying to be upfront with him over a month ago about this issue, and I guess here we are at a standstill where we have no PRs for Syrius at the moment. Syrius pull requests, none, 0. We have so much code. So, any thoughts on this? What should we do?
I mean, it's hard for us.
Go ahead.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard for us to delegate, this sort of work to somebody else. I mean, I guess if he wants to submit it the way he wants to submit it, what the worst that could happen is no one reviews it. All right. I mean, which I think is a possibility.
I think the worst that can happen. Well, I'm changing that. Well, the very, very worst thing that can happen is he rugs his branch at the last minute and adds malicious code, submits it, and no one reviews it, and Mr. Kane approves it. I think that's worst case. But second worst case is he submits his current branch, no one reviews it, and Mr. Kane approves it without any additional oversight or anyone commenting on it. I don't know. I see a couple flaws here that I wouldn't personally want to have in the wallet as they currently are. But I don't know. They're minor flaws. I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit more particular when it comes to things like spacing. But small things like that. I don't know. I'm glad that this desktop notifications. I thought that was still enabled by default. That was so annoying. So I'm glad that's no longer the case. I don't know. I feel like we should have more than 12 votes, more people who actually test it before we approve it, so that the whole community uses that software. But maybe we're just really early.
So I don't think anything. I think any changes going in February to the protocol would not break any existing wallet interfaces. I don't know. I feel like the way to approach it is, yeah, it needs to get merged into the official Syrius repo at some point. But what would give, if I was Mr. Kane, what criteria would I have in terms of when to merge it? Besides looking through it myself, is if it's being used in the wild. And so I think, even if, of course, the ultimate goal is to get it merged in, is if we are building it and distributing it and people are using the wallet already, that would be, if I was Mr. Kane, what my criteria would be. And so I think if we have a version, I think if, I mean, I think it'd be okay if we bundled a bunch of commits into a next version. And we had looked over through all of those and said, okay, this is the next version of Syrius, and we're just going to start distributing it. I think, yeah, I don't know. I personally for client side code, I guess I'm less worried because there's no need for coordinated upgrade.
I think the problem though is, or one of the flaws or one of the issues I've seen in the past is a lot of community members that just aren't really around too often don't trust any of the developers, so they will only run whatever is given to them on that main repo. So that we're not going to get that feedback that we need.
Yeah, I mean, that's not up to us. So I mean, I think we should be prepare with what we get. Other features. It's a gradual phase adoption, right? It's like, hey, this is get another thing, this version of the wall now. Yeah, I guess auditing of code is something we're gonna have to think.
I'm sorry, George. Did everyone just hear robotic noise, or was that just me?
That was me too. I mean, I heard the robot a little bit.
Okay. I'm sorry, George. I got about a quarter of what you said. So.
Okay, that's weird. No, yeah, I think it just, I think right now for this upgrade, it's everything is backwards compatible, and so I understand your point that not everyone is going to trust something that doesn't come out of the official repos. I would not be surprised if yeah, I mean, I completely understand that. But at the same time, I mean, people use a bunch of Bitcoin wallets that they have no idea, right? They only go off of social consensus that, hey, this is safe, or other people are using it.
Yeah, we don't have enough of that at the moment. So
yeah, we can start. So I think we started. We acknowledge that, like, hey, we're gonna want to get this into main, but we're gonna want to get this into the official repo. But there's no reason why the few people who have audited it, who do trust it, can just start. There's no reason they can't just start using it. That we can make it available. And then as more people like have used it and say, wow, I haven't had all my money stolen. You kind of build the social consensus. This doesn't solve this doesn't immediately solve the issue at hand, but I think it's still something we should do.
I'm just afraid that we're gonna get rugged up at some point. Like
By someone's client.
Yeah.
I mean that's every wallet you're ever gonna work with, right? If you haven't looked through all the code. So this is also why I want to work on like remote signing. So like, for example, if you can isolate all, like, you can still use Syrius, but maybe you have a very tight command line utility. And again, this is not everyone's going to use it, right? But I'm just saying, like, at least for me personally, like, if Syrius is just an interface and then all the signing is done like somewhere that I can completely control and audit, I feel okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, someone could introduce an inflation bug into the, I can introduce an inflation bug into the protocol itself, right? I mean, there's no way around having to be diligent.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know you're working on Zenon, and I haven't really done any security auditing of your code, but I've tested the implementation using Dart and well, Flutter and Syrius. Haven't really encountered any issues. I'm not afraid of an inflation bug, but are you saying that's even a possibility with HTLC?
No, it's not a possibility. It's not a possibility. I'm just saying that, like, it's not just with wallets, but like any code that we make publicly available for other people to download. Like, if you are taking on the responsibility, like, there's no way around having to be confident and say, like, hey, like, you should use this. Like, I don't think we can get around, like, but basically, like, the issue of someone just being able to maliciously put stuff in is always going to be a concern. That's not something that we can, solve. It's just every single change, you have to give due diligence to. That's all I'm saying.
Right. We don't have very much due diligence. It's very obvious to me. We have maybe 3 people who might look at the code, maybe, if they have time. So we don't have anyone like who's paid to audit. No one's like really actually incentivized at the moment to audit. I know that we have AZ funds for that, but a lot of our efforts are are done freely by like benevolent developers at the moment. Um, Cryptofish hasn't received very much money. I know that you paid him for his tutorials, but like he hasn't really gotten any
That's different.
money.
I mean, that was like on principle kind of thing.
It, yeah, but like he's contributed quite a bit to Syrius. He's fixed some issues. Um, he hasn't been paid for that. Philcris did a little bit. Alien Coder spent I don't know how many hours. I think it might be in the hundreds on Syrius at this point. Um, he hasn't been paid yet. Um, so
So I think realistically, what's going to have to happen is, we don't know what kind of diligence Mr. Kane is going to do. I think that's your concern, right? Your concern is how much diligence is Mr. Kane going to do? Is he going to assume we've done our diligence? Is there a certain threshold of diligence he's looking for before he accepts it? I don't know.
yeah, that's the thing. We don't know, and I'm assuming 0 at this point. Like nothing. The only thing I expect from Mr. Kane at this point is he'll log in maybe once a month. He'll see our PRs, and he'll see maybe a poll that indicates that we want it merged, and he'll go by that, or a zip, or some sort of official process. And he won't take any part in that. He'll just go ahead and merge. So there might be some like Sybil attack there to merge new code, but we'll tackle that when we even see what he does. But at this point, we don't have anyone auditing officially Alien Coder's code. I spent 2 hours on it the other day, and it was dreadful. I did not want to do it, and I don't want to go back and do it even more because like I only looked at it at a high level. I didn't really comb
The
through it.
code is dreadful. Like the style, like
The
when you say dreadful.
process, it's
Okay,
so
got it.
long. Like there's 300 files.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly.
Come
That's.
on.
I mean, I think I think as a community, it's totally fine to demand saying like, hey, we need to break this up into small logical components and verify them one by one. Like if we had to go through that process, I guess we go through that process. But I don't know. I feel like I feel like what's going to end up happening is myself, you these nuts, Phil, Chris, like I think at some point like I think we're gonna have to ultimately own the review of all these additions, and so whether that's the first part will be breaking it up in logical components, and then just putting together a big list and saying like, okay, let's like have a call like this and just go through it.
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't. I just like if because I haven't reviewed any of it, and if someone just like if Mr. Kane just pulled it in and released it, like I wouldn't even upgrade my Syrius yet.
No, but the rest of the community might.
They might, yeah, but I
Everyone still trusts Mr. Kane, even
they
though
do.
like we shouldn't, but everyone does. Like we're running DLLs that he generated, or like libraries that he generated. We don't. I wasn't able to decompile them and audit them, so I mean
Yeah,
I didn't really disassemble them properly and review them for any malicious activity, but I'm trusting that they're clean.
I think that's the trust boundary right now, and it's do we hold that trust boundary? Is okay. We got dropped AlphaNet code, an AZ code, and we've looked over it. We never did a full audit, or especially with Syrius. and then at some point we have to retroactively go back. But yeah, I guess is what do we do going forward? And I don't know. I think the right way is gonna have to. I think the way we're gonna ultimately do it is gonna have to be the hard way.
I'm sorry, I missed that last part. We're gonna have to.
I think yeah. I think the way it's. I think the way unless Mr. Kane is going to say, look, I've reviewed this and it's good. I think what's going to end up happening is we are going to put together. We're going to make a list of all the mini contributions, and then like audit them ourselves in a group like this. I think that's like unless Mr. Kane gives a blessing, I feel like that's actually what's going to end up happening.
I would lead a call like that, but I am fundamentally opposed to this approach of auditing 300 files plus multiple dependency changes. Like he didn't only change Syrius, he changed GoZenon and the other two libraries, the Argon2 and whatever the other one is, libpow. So we
That's certain. Yeah, that's a discussion to have when we do those audits. To say, hey, is this like really what we need to do?
It's way too much. This is why I'm putting up like sort of a fight. Like I don't really want to fight over this, but I feel like it's just logical to break it down into a smaller piece so that people can do their due diligence. I feel like this is not an honest way to approach the problem. 142 commits. I mean, that's a lot of commits, but I wouldn't look at them individually. I would just look at the changes. I'm like, look, there's just so many, and like this part here, the builder itself really needs to be looked at, and like you need to understand what the steps are. Like these need to be reviewed, and I actually did look at them, and I looked at all these packages, and anyways, it was really time consuming. More people need to do it. I was the only one who's done this so far. Or has anyone else on this in this forum right here looked at this code, this particular file?
No.
Right.
That's the GitHub workflow file.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually,
I took a
yeah, you did.
look at it. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's doing some weird stuff that we don't know about.
I was afraid that that might happen. I was actually trying to be vigilant like the whole time for like the last few months, just like reviewing this particular file just to make sure that this and the other workflows weren't being like that he wasn't injecting any sort of like malicious packages or dependencies in there, um, just like surreptitiously.
I mean,
But yeah,
I think my advice would just be don't let other people's like bad habits or don't let other people's lack of doing things the right way turn into your burden. Like you can set the standard of what you're willing to interact with. And I know that can be difficult in terms of like, hey, there's all this good work here. But I don't know. It feels like you feel obligated to look through this. But I don't know if that obligation actually exists.
that's sort of where you and I are different in our approach here. I'm trying to collaborate with people who are willing to spend their time on this project. Without collaboration, if we work in silos, we're not going to get very far very quickly. We need to work
But you can
together.
have a standard for collaboration, right? You can say
Yeah,
like, hey, there's going solo, and then there's saying, hey, look, I want to audit, I want to help people review their code. I want to do this, but in order for me to do that effectively, you got to be doing this. Like collaboration is bilateral.
yes, yeah, I absolutely agree. That's been one of the challenges, one of my challenges for like 4 months now.
Just
It's
don't be a pushover. Like don't be a pushover, right? If you're saying like, look, this is hard to work with, you need to make it easier for me to work with you. I I don't know. I feel like you seem like a very friendly guy, I guess. So maybe that's tough.
yeah, I know what you're trying to say. Look, I am not trying to scare away any of the help here. I'm trying to foster collaboration, and if that means that I'm willing to compromise a little bit sometimes, like I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to start any trouble here. Like Alien Coder is contributing actively. He agreed to take on one piece of work, and it sort of became this really big thing eventually after a few months. Um, I don't know. He just he just didn't really want to. He didn't want to cut it off, you know, like just agree on the same terms or what I was proposing. So I'm not sure what to do. We don't really have a higher authority here to settle a dispute. Do we really have the community to settle a dispute? I'm trying to do that on the forum, and we only have 12 people who are providing their feedback. So again, we're at a standstill here, where my value is I want to have this in a smaller. I want him to work on smaller pieces so that I can actually help him get this merged into the project, so I can audit it and test it properly. And he's like, no, I just want to build a monolithic update, one big thing, and have a very big 006 update. And
So I think we can have a. I think the size. I mean, when updates actually occur, like it's usually shipping like a lot of different PRs. I don't know. I guess it's just are the things that you've asked him to work on, or he's working on, are they like tasked out? I know we have you've been working on the Mattermost board, but I guess like that could be a way to to put some logical boundaries on things, to say like, hey, like you need to make it like a PR for this, or like at least a commit, right? I think at like one PR is one, like how many PRs isn't so much a big thing. It's, I would say, you want the granularity at least at the commit level. Um, I guess maybe that's what we need to do, is to provide that structure around the tasks like you've already been doing. But I guess I don't know. Like I said, I guess set the standards of what you're willing to work with, right? I mean, if you're saying that it's really hard to, if you're if it's hard for you to work effectively, just say that. Like if it's hard for you to work effectively with someone because they're not, they're not following some sort of best practice, you know, that's, you can only accommodate that so much.
well, that's why I'm putting my foot down now. It's this
Well,
has gone on too far, too long. So like we need to deal with this now.
have you tried to have a call with him like we are right now? At the time, I don't know if during the day works, but that seems like he's on European time.
Yeah.
But it sounds like having a call like this could help maybe hash it out.
Yeah, he's 5 hours ahead of me. Yeah, I haven't offered a call with him. He tends to just interact on the forum. He didn't respond to my email the first time that I contacted him. I extended an offer to uh, interact with him on Telegram and on Discord, and he totally ignored that. That's why I thought he was Mr. Kane for a while, just doing his own thing, not even asking questions about the project, like literally just diving into it and solving problems right away. He seemed to understand the code base enough to just like start working, which I found really interesting. Um, Maybe I'm just like a total novice, and it took me a while to sort of understand, what I could do and how to contribute. He just popped up out of nowhere on the forum and was like, "Hey, look, I'm gonna work on Syrius now. Here's what I'm doing." And anyways, my main problem at this point is I don't like phrasing it this way, but he sort of owns CI/CD, the Git workflow, GitHub Actions. I don't want to just steal his work and submit it on his behalf. I had a discussion with CoinSolaire about this on on Discord a few days ago, and it ended up being like he ended up suggesting that where
Well, like I
go ahead.
said, I the approach I would want to take is the makefile approach, right? Where you have a very light workflow file, and everything is just calling a makefile target because that's portable. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh, I think you pointed me to Alien Coder's direction. I don't know if I actually brought that up with him.
I don't recall.
Okay, so basically, so you're concerned that he's, yeah, I get that, right? It's like, okay, you kind of already done this work, and maybe it's good, but like, is it rude to just extract the one piece that you is it that you is it rude to extract the pieces that you've looked at and like, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm not super familiar with the open source etiquette around that.
Well, about that, Coinslayer was saying, well, what's the license? So
Exactly.
here's the license. So as long as you have access to it, you can use it however you want. You can publish it and distribute it if you want. So
So I know that CoinSeller and these nuts they were working on a contributing kind of guide, but I think that I mean again I think a lot of these problems are solved if we get it into the main repo, get it onto the official website to download, but to have a community distribution, basically give Mr. Kane something to give Mr. Kane some sort of criteria to pull in, and then we can set that criteria, right? If we have a Syrius wallet and we're saying, look, we are only accepting well-scoped pull requests, right? And if we have that process and we're distributing copies of Syrius, right, and it kind of becomes like a look, you can go off and make whatever changes you want, but if you want to get into, our copy, the one that we're maintaining, the one that, maybe a lot of the community has put their weight behind, these are the criteria you have to follow, right? If Mr. Kane hasn't set any criteria and we have no idea what he's going to do, like just basically do a fork, like we're assuming, like fork it and assume that Mr. Kane is going to pull it, upstream or into his copy if we're doing good stuff.
about that,
You
go ahead.
there's no reason why we can't set the standard. But and if we have our own distribution, it's not just talk. It's like you can get your code in. It just has to meet the standard.
Look, I've considered that up until about 3 months ago. That's really what I wanted to do. I actually really wanted to. I had a poll on Telegram back when we were using that more frequently on the dev channel. There was a poll. I don't know if you remember, but I was asking the community, are you for or against the notion of having an official community code repository on GitHub or wherever? And there was an overwhelming um, response of yes, like yes, we want the community to have their own code repo. We're tired of relying on Mr. Kane or waiting for him to merge our commits or even to respond to them, our pull requests. Um, so there was a long period of time when uh, I don't know, it hasn't been a year, but more than 6 months of total inactivity on the GitHub, the official one, and I just got tired of it, and I put out this poll, and most people said yes, although there was like one or two no's. I'm not sure who actually voted no, whether it was chat ass just being a chat ass, or if it was someone else who actually had a legitimate concern. I think it's the latter, but they didn't really voice it. And anyways, as soon as I had that, Mr. Kane came back within a couple days, and he's like, "No, just this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna merge. You're gonna submit your PRs, and I'm gonna merge them. Don't worry about it." So then I dropped it. I dropped the whole idea. I stopped pursuing it because he basically said, in the main Telegram channel, I will see it. I will merge it. So I don't know. I can go with what you're saying. I'm actually okay with that. I don't really want to be a gatekeeper for that. I'd like to make it more democratic, to have more people involved that actually are interested in reviewing the code before they merge it in. There just aren't very many people who are doing that right now. Like, of the people on this particular call, there may be 2 people. Actually, that's a bad example. Of the people in general in our community, there may be 2 or 3 people who will read the code. Excuse me. So, it's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge right now. I don't know. I don't want to gatekeep that. Do we have a solution to that? Because right now, what Alien Coder is doing is sort of what you're suggesting, but he's controlling that code. I thought about setting up a GitHub organization. Anyways.
All right, I was on mute. Guys, I got a bolt. I got kids that are about ready to blow up. My recommendation is you talk to Alien. And I don't know if he wants to talk to you or anybody, but it seems like, you know, you could potentially make some progress if you just talk to him. I mean, does he engage in you know, DMs back and forth? He seems to do that with me.
Yeah, daily. Not recently, but yeah, he checks often. But like I said, we're sort of at this stalemate right here, where I want this and he wants that, and he's not really willing to deviate. And I can't really compromise either. Like, it's a lot of work. So you're saying, like, get on a phone call. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
like
the guy won't leave the forum. So I don't know, man. We'll see what happens in a week. Whether he submits a PR and Mr. Kane approves it or not. I'm really interested to see what happens there.
I'll send him a DM. Do you mind if I send him a DM and just say, listen, are you willing to have a brief conversation with some of the devs to talk about this Syrius PR and just see what he says?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I hate to do this, but I do have to bolt.
That's fine. We've been on the call for a few hours or an hour. I don't know.
Yeah, atomic swaps look really, really good. You're making great progress. I'm super pumped about that. I'll DM Alien, see what he says, and hopefully he's receptive to either talk or have a group DM. We can set up a chat on the forum and do that too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll look out for that.
Awesome. All right, boys. I got a bolt. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Sounds good. All right, cheers.
All right, guys. Yeah.
Maybe we just call it for tonight.
Yeah, that's fine. We can host these calls, whenever we want. Later in the week,
Yep.
next time, next week, whenever. Mihai wants to do this more often. He's just sick. Not sick. He's recovering from a medical procedure right now. So he'll be here next time. Anyways, thanks for joining, everyone. I've recorded this. I'm gonna check OBS to see if it worked, and maybe I'll post it.
Oh God, you're recording these.
Someone asked for that. I think it was Cryptofish. Someone. Anyways, thanks for joining, and I guess I'll see you around.
All right.
Cheers.
See you guys.